Hey there, this is a video on how to work out the longitude and latitude of places, and our goal is to learn how to use them and then use them to locate places around the world. So let's have a look at some of the background information. So first of all, latitude. These are imaginary lines that run parallel to the equator. As you can see in this diagram, we've got the equator in the middle of the Earth, and the lines that go north and south of the equator are lines of latitude, and we use degrees to measure that. So obviously Australia, being in the southern hemisphere, we're going to be having a latitude readings degrees south. Two other important lines of latitude are the Tropic of Cancer, which is roughly around 23 degrees north, and the Tropic of Capricorn, which is 23 degrees south. Obviously the line of Capricorn runs through Australia, so there's a hint when you're looking at to give the location of Australian places about lines of latitude and longitude, some hints on what to look out for. So that diagram shows all the lines of latitude. They go from 0 to 90 degrees, and we're talking about 90 degrees from the equator. Longitude. Well, longitude are imaginary lines that run horizontal from the Greenwich meridian, or sometimes it's called the prime meridian. Greenwich is in London, and that's where we measure our 0 degrees line of longitude. Again, we measure that in degrees, and we measure it at right angles. The prime meridian splits the world into east and west, Australia being in the eastern hemisphere. On the other side of the world, where we have east versus west again, it's 180 degrees roughly. We've got the international date line, but because it's not a straight line, it cuts in some places. We don't use that as a 180 degree line as such. So let's look at some examples. Okay, we've got a map of Australia, and we're going to look at how to find the longitude and latitude of Sydney. Now, a lot of people get this confused. They don't know which numbers to give first. So we're going to go for the lines of latitude first. Latitude always comes first. Remember LA? That goes before LO. So we're looking at the lines that are going downwards. So I'm looking for Sydney. She's here. I'm going to look at my line of latitude. I'm looking around here. There's 30 degrees, there's 35, it must be in between these two. Looking at that straight line, it's probably about 34 degrees south. And then I look up, there's our 50 line, it just goes past 50, so it must be about 151 degrees east. Okay, if I was to do another one, let's look at Darwin. First of all, we look at our lines of latitude. We've got our 15 degree line here and our 10 degree line in there, so it's in between. It's about halfway, so we'll say that's 13 degrees south. And then we're going to look at our eastings. Again, we've got 125 here, 130, 135. It's just over the 135 line, so it must be 136 degrees east. Okay, so there are two examples. What I want you to do is have another little read of that, look at that, and then what we'll do, we'll go through some examples. I'll either put some on the link below the video, or we'll do some in class. Any questions? Come and see me. Thanks.